it's like 1%. Make it out. Or
It's a
2%.
little higher than that, but not much.
Yeah.
I mean, they flunk out like 70–75% of everybody that goes in. And they select who goes in. Hardcore. I mean, you have to be the best of the best to even get to go try out. And so they're soldiers for sure. So the best of soldiery. But it's hugely physically demanding. It's you know, you've seen all the pictures of Hell Week and all of that kind of stuff, boat school and that kind of thing. Who do you think comes out the other side?
Prado.
Prado was a boat support guy. He wasn't a SEAL.
People that mentally strong.
That's exactly the truth. It's not the big, physical, hulking, really fit, strong, powerful, tall guys that necessarily succeed. A lot of them are, because that's an advantage if you're swimming long distances and carrying around a lot of weight and doing that kind of thing. But the success rate is the highest for really, really mentally tough people. They don't know how to identify those. If you want to do something cool, go on YouTube and punch in Navy SEALs and punch in fear. And what you'll find out is what the Navy SEALs are talking about, their big four mental skills that they emphasize above everything else. They talk about goal setting, they talk about rehearsal, mental rehearsal, going over things in their minds. They talk about focus and ways to foster focus. And they talk about being able to control their arousal state. So in other words, being able to keep a steady state, not too fearful, not too anxious, not too relaxed. They need to be on their game. They need to be focused on the event, what they're doing right now in the moment. They need to be steady. They need to have a good plan, you know, and they need to know where they're going. So I just use those guys as talking about the mental tools of performance, the skills that we teach athletes. And athletes need to develop. So the biggest one that you have heard me talk about in some of these areas is focus. That whole thing about be here now, that's the biggest one. But we also talk about, I don't talk about goals so much anymore as I talk about purpose and motivation. Why are you here? What do you want? You know, what defines you? You guys are all old enough to say, I'm a ski racer, right? You chose your sport. This is what you do. So that's important. But self-talk, what you say really matters. That's important. And controlling your energy, controlling your arousal level. So those are some of the things. You know, here's just a question for you: is how effective would the best skier be, who's distracted, without purpose, doesn't have any passion, is a little confused, is afraid, bored, or stressed? Totally ineffective. All those are really terrible. Any one of those things has the potential to take you out of the game. Totally. So you've got to deal with all of those kind of states with a sound mental approach to your game. So focus and concentration basically is the foundational skill. Being able to be in the moment, be mindful, be, you know, if you look at time as a continuum, you know, you have the future, and that's where you put goals to and purpose to, and that's where you're going. You have the past, so you have memories, you have experiences, you have all those kind of things, and that informs you. But really, think about this. All you've got to deal with is right now. All you've got is right now, all the time. Everything that you do is in the moment. So their football team, NFL football team, coach is trying to get his millennials to focus in the moment, he's come up with this, it's like be here now, it's like be where your feet are. That's what he says, be where your feet are. So wherever you are in the moment, that's just a way for him to illustrate that you need to not be thinking about an hour from now. You need to not be thinking about this afternoon. You need to not be thinking about yesterday. You need to be focused in the moment. In fact, that's one of the real big techniques that you can think about doing. Think about a 3-step readiness program. Because here we are, right? We're in skiing. So the duration of the activity is long. It's not like a golf shot, although skiing and golf are really similar. I'll tell you why. But it's not like a golf shot. You have a long duration. You have to make, if you're a slalom skier, or for that matter, if you're a speed skier, you have to make over the course of the event, slalom, say you have to make 60 turns. So you have to make 60 pretty good turns without any big mistakes. And if you're a speed skier, you have to make 30 turns over 2.5 miles, over undulating terrain and all of that kind of thing. The whole be here now thing is really important. So think about, well, we'll do this in a minute. You can talk too. You guys can talk. You can ask questions.
Obviously, ski racers, we visualize a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what extent should you take that to? Like, just the course, right? Like if you're being here now, like, not looking forward. Obviously, you have to visualize, but to an extent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't, like, visualize your outcome. Is that a thing?
Sometimes you can.
Yeah.
I mean, dreams are important.
Yeah.
But you don't visualize winning the race while you're in the gate.
Yeah.
You visualize what you need, you visualize and you mentally rehearse what you need to do the performance. But I'll tell you, when you think about dreams and long-term goals, it's okay to focus on those things. Like in a tough physical workout, sometimes you have to remind yourself, why the hell am I doing this? And if you think about what your purpose and what your expectation is, that motivation will carry you through. I mean, I don't know how much really big endurance kind of things that you do, because we've kind of gotten away from that with alpine ski racers. But we used to take these, like, I don't know, 100-mile bike rides. And I was just like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? What good is this for me? And so yeah, visualizing dreams when you're talking about goal setting is okay. You have to pick the things that you're thinking about. That's the whole be here now thing. And, well, let's look here. You have to think about what information you need in the environment that you need to focus on. Okay, so you need to know what to concentrate on. What information is going to help you perform the best. Like if you look at, you look at Bodie or even back Darren, you look at them when they inspect, they go like this with their pole a lot on the snow because they're assessing how hard the snow is. Because they want to know. And when they get a course report, a lot of the time they wanted to know the condition of the snow in certain places. Why?
To adjust how they ski. Be
They-
prepared for it.
Be prepared for it, adjust how they ski. They wanted to know is when they loaded that thing up, if the snow would take the load, or if they had to adjust the amount of pressure, how they were spreading the pressure over the turns and things like that. And they wanted to know how the snow was reacting to the people that were in front of them. So a big part of the course report for those guys was simply if the snow was the way it was supposed to be. Because if you watch a lot of World Cup, I assume you guys watch a lot of World Cup, they run a lot of World Cups in less than ideal conditions. A lot of the time it really sucks. And as it's gotten warmer and warmer, they run in weird stuff. So you have to have that kind of ability to analyze that information consciously and then put it into working memory and be able to select the right responses. So that's a whole experience thing that you need to do. So that's something that, information, environmental information in. And just think about all the environmental information that there is besides this. What's some other? Light. Absolutely. That's why the West, I assume he's still doing this, that's why the West goes out when it's shitty and trains. Because someday you're going to come to the race and it's going to be shitty. And we want to be able to deal with the conditions. That's why we train in flat light. That's why we train in the rain. I didn't think an old coach told me when I was a young coach, you never ran speed in the rain. Never, because of vision. And then we went to the U.S. Nationals and had a Super G in a rainstorm. And I was like, oh my God. Because when it started raining, we'd stop. So we didn't stop anymore. We'd train in the rain. That's why when you go someplace, you're supposed to have rain gear. So, essentially, there's all that information available in the environment. And in our environment, it changes. Light changes, snow surface changes, snow changes, temperature changes. Think of all the things that we have to do in an open environment sport to deal with. This is back to the hard thing. You don't walk in the gym and turn on the lights, right? So you need to think about when you're inspecting. This is the real advantage of inspection, okay? You get to go look at the course. You have to go look at the course because it's an open environment sport. It's not a basketball court. So you look at the course, you visualize what you're going to do. You image what you're going to do. And then you mentally rehearse it. So imagery and mental rehearsal, back to the SEALs, they have run, you know how many times the guys that did the Osama bin Laden raid, they built a house like that. And they practiced going through that house for months, a couple of months, trying to deal with every scenario that they could think of to throw at these guys. So they had to visualize what they were going to do, then they rehearsed it actively, and they rehearsed it mentally. And then they got there and the helicopter crashed and everything went to hell and they did it anyway. So they were ready to react because they had the ability to imagine what was going to happen. So visualization and other kinds of imagery, which we'll talk about here just in a second, all of that kind of available information is really important. Attentional focus. You guys, William James in 1890, father of psychology in America, talked about attention is taking possession of the mind in clear and vivid form of one out of what may seem several simultaneously possible objects or trains of thought. It implies withdrawal from some things in order to effectively deal with others. Think about that. Takes possession of the mind. The mind controls the activity. Your brain controls what's going on. Clear and vivid form. So your clarity of attention, your clarity of vision, the use of the cues is really important. And it says, you imagine how many things are in the environment? How many cues there are in the environment? There's millions. So when you're skiing, you have to choose, you have to select the things that are important. And you have to know what those are. And you have to do that, and you have to make it automatic. So you withdraw from some, you withdraw from the noise. We talk about signal and noise. Remember that one? Signal, noise. We're trying to find the things that are relevant and important in all of those cues. So there's some things that just don't matter, right? That's noise. We're trying to zero in on signal. And you know what? For every one of you, it's different. For every one of you, it's different. You use your cues differently because you're individuals. You learn differently. you process differently. There's no one way. But there's a one way for you, or there's a best way. There's a one way for you, but there's a best way. That's why we talk about, when we talk about attentional focus, we want to talk about refocusing. Because noise will get in the way. That's the great thing we're trying to do, is overcome distractions. So you're skiing, you're racing, you make a mistake, okay? One of the great things that you need to know how to do is to put the mistake away immediately and move on. God, this is so long ago now, but there was this guy called